Good afternoon, Mr. Former Spouse. Welcome to the Tribunal. I am Mr. Healy, and will be one of the judges on your case. Father Nice and Father Noel will not be sitting in on your deposition. You won't be needing your advocate or a notary. Our trusty little cassette player will record everything for our secretary to transcribe regarding your former marriage.
Yes. Hi, Mr. Healy. I would ask that you do not refer to my marriage or to my spouse as former or ex. My name, as you know, is darn honest. Now, I want to state very clearly that I believe fully in the validity of our marriage. My wife, Fidelity, and I have been happily married for 25 years. We have 6 beautiful children. We were raised in the Catholic faith and we knew quite well what marriage meant when we exchanged vows right on the altar with a priest. We knew the 3 goods, or bone of marriage. That we had to be faithful to each other, that we would be married until death, and that we had to be open to children. We were certainly of age, plenty mature, which does not have to be more than that of a 16-year-old. According to Pope John Paul II. You should read some of his and Pope Benedict's addresses to the Tribunal of the Roman Rota. There was no pressure placed on either one of us. There was nothing to impede our marriage consent. We were engaged for 2 years prior to our marriage.
Well, Mr. Honest, you sound pretty defensive and contentious as a respondent. Let me tell you some of the things your former wife, Fidelity said.
Her married name is Honest. Was her maiden name.
Yes, as we study marriage cases we use both names, so I will refer to her as Fidelity Dishonest. Is that okay?
Fidelity alone suffices.
Okay, well, Fidelity says you did not love her enough. You did not bring her enough flowers throughout your marriage. You did not compliment her on a continuous basis. You never put the cap back on the toothpaste. And you occasionally left the toilet seat up to which she had fallen in. A few times. No, not good, Mr. Honest. What is vitally important is whether or not you and Fidelity shared a community of life and love, or the good of the spouses. The bonum conjugum. Meaning, did you both give yourselves completely to one another? If not, how much did you hold back? We are talking about happiness here, Mr. Honest.
Mr. Healy, what are the grounds being used for nullity here? Do you realize I did not get a proper libellus in which the facts and proofs have been described in a general way? That falls onto Canon 15042. All I got was a little yellow sticky note that said 1095.
Yes. We are eco-conscious here, and are trying to save paper. That was your libellus. I am surprised you would ask. We are using old reliable, that quick healing, marriage nulling and well-greased, loose canon. 1095. We will probably go with 1095, 2, or 3.
Have you tried to get my spouse to reconcile our marriage as you were supposed to do before accepting this case?
Well, no. That is not necessary, since she already divorced you. You see, divorce means the marriage is dead with no hope of reconciliation. It relieves us from that responsibility. Don't you think?
Oh no. No. That is not what it does, sir. There are at least 7 canons. Count them. Canon 1152-1, Canon 1153-2, Canon 1155, Canon 1446-2, Canon 1676, Canon 1695, Canon 1713. That are meant to get a separated couple to reconcile. 2 or 3 of these could be applied to our situation. And who says that divorce means any such thing? That a marriage is dead? Marriages do not die, Mr. Healy. A sacrament that is instituted by Christ to give grace cannot die. Would you junk a car because it would not move when all it needed was gas? So why do you give up so easily on marriage? That is as good as saying Jesus gave up and is holding back the grace he promised, as though he changed his mind. Marriages do not die, sir. People give up.
Well, Mr. Honest, you seem to be having a rough time with this.
You bet I am, sir. My wife divorced me after 25 years of marriage with 6 children for another man, when her vow was made to me and to God. And why did my wife divorce me, exactly? To meet the requirement of this Catholic tribunal that refuses to take on a marriage case without first being presented with a civil divorce decree. And why is that, Mr. Healy? Divorce is a mortal sin in God's eyes. Grave does not mean venial. And there is certainly no canon that would require something God hates. Is there? So why do Catholic tribunals in this country go against God's law? People like to think we respondents are attacking the Church when we work hard to defend our marriages, which is our right and obligation. We are responsible for the souls of our spouses, and we are the ones strongly defending the Church and her teaching on marriage. Our voice needs to be heard, as it is growing. We know it was to protect yourselves from alienation of affection lawsuits, which is moot, and to remove the reconciliation responsibility from you. I hold this tribunal fully responsible for my wife divorcing me. I strongly encourage other respondents to read the book, What God Has Joined Together by Robert Vasoli. God rest his soul. It is a thoroughly researched book on the annulment crisis in the Church in this country over the last few decades. It is an eye-opener. So, she had to divorce me in order to meet the requirement for you to accept her petition. How does that sit with God? I wonder. Do you ever wonder, Mr. Healy?
Mr. Honest, would you like to be seen by one of our court psychiatrists? It will help us in deciding this case.
Absolutely not. I will not allow you such an opportunity to extract, with the psychiatrist's help, the juiciest gobbledygook you can drum up on me in order to justify a declaration of nullity. No way, Jose.
Well, we were hoping for your full cooperation in order to grant, to do the best we can to come to the best decision here for you and your, wife.
The best decision is the correct decision, which should be your only goal. By the way, I also submitted a vindicate rights petition to this tribunal that I am hoping would outweigh this annulment petition. This is relatively new, but considered by some canon lawyers to have merit. I am asking that my errant spouse be corrected by church authority to reconcile the marriage, to return to the marital home, to stop sinning and to repair the damage that has been caused. I encourage others to look into this kind of petition.
I, have no idea about that kind of petition.
Well, hopefully it will catch on. It is a good way to keep marriages intact and to admonish an errant spouse.
Okay, Mr. Honest. After we receive your witness reports and other proofs, if you have them, we will publish the acts and let you know.
Okay, I hope I will be given a fair amount of time in reading the acts.
Read the acts?
Of course. How will I write my defense against what has been written about me and our marriage?
Oh. Okay, we can give you some time. Say about 30 minutes? It already has about 100 pages. I hope you have a good memory, as there will be no note-taking allowed.
Let me make this clear, Mr. Healy. If my marriage to Fidelity is declared null or affirmative in this first instance, I will appeal to the Tribunal of the Roman Rota for second instance. A well-known cardinal, who was a former judge on the Roman Rota, once said that most marriages are valid. Most people know that most marriages are valid, and they know we know it too. Also, a while back, the percentage of annulments overturned on appeal to Rome from this country was at least 92%. So this country has been getting it wrong for decades in spite of all the correction from the last 2 popes, and yet, nothing changes.
The Roman Rota? That will cost you an arm and a leg. For someone with 6 children and already hurting financially. From the civil courts. Due to the divorce, are you sure you could afford it?
Why? Do you care about my children? Are the children even considered in this process? It certainly doesn't seem so.
Well, no, I do want you to understand, Mr. Honest, that you do not have to worry about that. Your children do not become illegitimate in this process if we decide in favor of nullity. If they were once legitimate, they will always be legitimate.
Who's kidding who here? Is that supposed to make them feel better? When they see their mother run off with another man and get blessed a second time in a church wedding, while their father is still alive? Are you aware, sir, that studies on the effects of divorce on children show that they lose 5 years off their lifespan due to the divorce? I do not respond to scare tactics. It is not too expensive. And I would encourage any respondent in this situation to do the same, especially if they need to be sure of their state in life. It is about salvation, is it not? That is the purpose of canon law, is it not? While there are annulments that are just and necessary, most of them in the last 40+ years are questionable. Most people are aware of this. And granting a declaration of nullity cannot ever undo a real bond of marriage, yet how many poor souls were told they were free to remarry, while the original bond created by God still stands? Are not these marriages then adulterous? Hundreds of thousands of marriages over the past 40 years have been declared invalid. Impossible. Families have been destroyed and children broken in two, their hearts forever wounded, as the focus continues to be only on the interest and desire of the petitioner through a false compassion, which is no compassion at all. This is one of the Church's greatest scandals. I pray that it is exposed to all for what it is, and that it ends. I also pray that a happy 40-year marriage of no-fault divorce and Catholic annulment is irretrievably broken. Amen.